Good evening. Good evening. We're gonna wait until Facebook builds our audience, and once Facebook builds our audience, and we see that people are on here, we'll get started. Tonight we're talking about the PPP loan. If you can follow us on Bossed Up Academy on Facebook, IG, as well as on YouTube. We see that some people are now on here, so we are going to get started. If you can, go ahead and drop your questions in the comment section. I'll answer them, and we'll also do a question and answer session at the end. But I do want to start off by telling you that this Saturday we do have a live virtual seminar where we're going to be talking about real estate investing. You can get the full details on our seminar for this Saturday. Broketopay.com is in the ticker below. But we're going to go ahead and get started with PPP. We're going to go over exactly what is PPP. PPP is the Payment Protection Program through the stimulus package that was issued by the government. And this is the second round of PPP. They have millions and millions of dollars allocated to this program. So we're going to talk about how do you get PPP money, who qualifies and how you qualify, and how you can actually get the money. And do not go off of misconceptions, because we are going to go over some misconceptions about that. Let's talk about first who qualifies. I want you to take out of your head the whole concept about I've got to have an LLC to have a business. There are so many other ways that you can be in business without an LLC. Paycheck Protection Program is for those who actually are self-employed. That means that you can be an independent contractor. That means if you get paid by a 1099, that means that they do not take out taxes on your wages. You are a quote unquote business owner. You are considered to be a sole proprietor. If you get, if you're a hairstylist, if you are a stripper, you in a cash money business, if you wash cars, if you file taxes on a business that you work, it does not necessarily mean that you have to have an LLC. Clear that out of your mind. I cannot stress enough that you do not need a LLC for PPP. You can use your Social Security number as long as you have a Schedule C. You just need a Schedule C. That's a profit and loss statement on your tax return. That means if you work on commission and they give you a commission statement on a 1099, say you work at a car dealership and they pay you a W-2, but when you sell so many cars and you get a commission, your commission is issued on a 1099. You can use that for your Schedule C, which you should be filing on your tax return. And if you have a positive line, we're going to talk about the positive line 31. But I want to get it clear that you do not need a LLC. I can't say this enough times to make people understand. You could have been doing a t-shirt business. If you filed that t-shirt business under your Social Security number, you still can qualify. If you had a side hustle and you filed taxes on it, you still qualify. If you are a stripper, you still qualify. If you are a hairstylist, you still qualify. If you wash cars, you still qualify. If you pressure wash, you still qualify. if your tax return allows you. But as far as being a business owner, to qualify under PPP, you qualify as a sole proprietor. Even if you do not have an LLC, get that out of your mind. You do not have to have a business name. You can have your 1099 issued in your name as long as you filed a profit and loss on your taxes. I'm getting some comments here, so I am going to go over that. If you do other people's taxes, you can qualify for PPP. If you are a nail technician, you can qualify for PPP. If you haul pine needles on the weekend, you qualify as a sole proprietor. If you have a 1099, should you apply as a sole proprietor and not as an independent contractor? You can use those words interchangeably. The thing that you need to actually apply for PPP is the Schedule C. It does not ask you on the Schedule C how you are classifying your entity. If you say you and your cousin have a boutique, online boutique, and y'all are a partnership, you still can qualify with your K1. So you just need the Schedule C. That's a profit and loss statement that attaches to your tax return. So a sole proprietor, an independent contractor, they will fill out the same tax form, and that is a Schedule C. I cannot stress this enough. So I'm going to go on to tell you, how do you get the money? Well, they're giving special pricing priority for people that are in restaurants and the hospitality community. That means people that have a bar, anything doing with food, a food truck, they are going to give you 3.5 times your wages for 3.5 months of income. They're giving that because they feel like those industries were hit the hardest during the pandemic, and they were shut down the longest, or some of them have not been able to operate at full capacity due to social distancing. So they do have special pricing where they're going to give restaurants, food industry, and hospitality people 3.5 times their monthly income. Now, for all other industries, they are going to give you for 2.5 times your income. I've got a question here. Schedule C for 2019 or 2020. The one that has the most money on line 31. Go to write this down if you don't have your income tax return in front of you. Go to line 31 on your Schedule C, and the one that has the most amount of money, that is the one that I would file. Your 2020 does not have to be actually filed because they're not due. You just need to get a draft of what your 2020 will be. And then look at and see which one is going to give you the most. You're going to look at line 31. You're going to divide it by 12. That's the number of months in a year. So if your line 31, and I'm just doing this for round numbers, if your line 31 says $100,000, well, I'm going to say $120,000 because that way I can do it for round numbers. Divide that by 12. That means that your income is $10,000 a month. Well, if you're in a regular industry, they're going to give you 2.5 times that amount with a maximum of $22,000 because they cap off at $100,000. So then 2.5 times that amount would be $25,000. But like I said, they cap off at $100,000, and I just used over $100,000 for the sake of round numbers. So whatever one, and you cannot have a negative. And the reason is The reason is that if you have a negative number, that means that you weren't affected by the pandemic because you already were not making any money. So it's either pay me now or pay me later. So if you got a $10,000 refund in 2019, guess what? You already got your PPP money. If you ran a negative so that you would not owe, a lot of people did that. But in this case, for Paycheck Protection, you must have a positive number to show that you actually were making money. Now I have another question. It says, would you run a risk of being audited if you didn't report all of your income for 2019, but you do for 2020? You could, but a lot of people during the pandemic made more money in the pandemic than they do regularly. So we can't say that if you filed really low in 2019. Now, if there is a big disparity, then they may audit you. I'm not a tax preparer. We are assisting people with PPP. We're not giving tax advice, but were there businesses that made more money in 2020? Yes. A lot of people made a lot more in 2020 because guess what? People's getting unemployment, so they have more money to spend. So bars and different places, I know people actually made more money off of people because people were spending stimulus money. So that does not mean that you couldn't have made more money. But now if you go from negative $10,000 to now you making $100,000, I think that would be a red flag. But I am not a tax auditor. I'm not a tax preparer. I do not give tax advice. But that is a question really for your tax person to say if they feel as though you would be audited or not. But could you have made more in 2020? Yes. The answer is yes, you could have. Now, if you didn't, they want you to compare 2019 and 2020 if you were in business in both years. You have to show a 25% loss in 2020 for one of those quarters. But it does not mean that your overall 2020 had to be a loss. So you may have lost money in second quarter in 2020 that you did not lose in 2019, but overall 2020 you could have made it up in the other quarters. So it's not impossible for you to have made more money. Okay, I don't know what happened to my I don't know what happened to my broadcast, but my thing is kind of messing up. But I'm back on here. I don't know what happened, but I'm back. If you have employees, then you can file your 941. Now, an employee is um an employee is somebody that you took taxes out on. Now, if you give all of the people that quote unquote work for you a can somebody let me know if you can see me? Can somebody comment this hit let me know that you can hear me or see me? Okay, thank you, Willie, for thank you. So I'm having to stream down from my cell phone because I don't know what happened with my laptop, but it just went out. But if you um if you have employees, that means people that you take taxes out on, you can not only file for your Schedule C, but you also can file your 941, your 942, whatever it is that you file for your employees. Now, if you issue 1099s to the people that work for you, then each one of those people would have to file for their own PPP. You cannot be reimbursed for those wages because those people are considered to be independent contractors and they can file individually for their own PPP. So you got to make sure that you have a positive number on line 31 of the Schedule C. And then, unless you're in a partnership or S corporation, but I'm talking to the majority of the people of my audience here that is filing a Schedule C. Right now, we will do a free quote for you. You send us your Schedule C. We'll do the calculations, tell you how much you're estimated to get back. And you can see if you want to proceed at that point. The only other thing is they want to know that you were in business by February of 2020. So if you started a business, and you don't have to have started a LLC, you don't have to have filed with the Secretary of State, because remember, you can be a sole proprietor. You do not have, you can be under your Social Security number. You do not need a tax ID number. I cannot stress this enough to people. So they are going to want to see, a lot of the places are wanting to see your bank statement from February to justify and to know that you were in business during that time. Can it be your personal bank statement? Yes, because you need to show where you were getting payments either as a 1099 or you were accepting payments for whatever business you was doing as a sole proprietor, because you can do that. So you don't have to have filed your 2020. You can use your 2019. If you got PPP the last time, you can get PPP again. If you were denied for PPP last time, and like I said, your business made money in 2020, then you can apply for your 2020, but it does not have to be filed. You just need a draft of your 2020 in order to apply for your 2020 PPP. Or if you did not get apply last time, you can use your 2019s if you would like. They are just going to ask you for your February bank statement because they want to know that you were in operation during that time. You could be an Uber driver, anybody you can be. If you get tips and you file a Schedule C for your tips, however your preparer is doing it, you can file. You do not have to have a business name. You can be a sole proprietor. You can use your Social Security number. I cannot stress this enough. If you have questions, and like I said, you can DM me a screenshot of your Schedule C, and I will tell you in a matter of minutes how much you can qualify to get. And if you want to proceed, if you want us to assist you with the process, or you can do the process on your own. You do need to go through a lender. It's not through the SBA. It is through one of their lenders. And you can go on the SBA website, and they have a whole list of the people that are partnering with them to do these PPP applications. But if you want to simplify the process, we are assisting people with their applications. And generally, our people are getting their money within 10 days or less, provided that you provide us with all the documentation that we're asking for. We ask that you do not send it in bits and pieces, but we ask that you actually send it to us as one file. I mean, in one email. It can be several attachments in one email. But before we ask you for a whole laundry list of items, we do want to look at your Schedule C to see if it's even worth you filing, or if you feel like it's worth you filing based on the quote that we give you. Do not be confused with the word loan. This loan is forgivable. That means that if you go and use it for payroll, for expenses in your business, and they've got a whole list of them, and you do a one-page certification, which we assist all of our clients with doing the one-page certification, the loan is forgiven. Don't just hear the word loan and go crazy. It is a forgivable loan. That means that if you do the forgiveness part, then they totally wipe it out and you owe zero. You owe nothing, nothing at all on this loan. Worst case scenario, you don't do the forgiveness part, which I don't know why anyone wouldn't do it. But if you didn't, the loan is at 1%. Where can you get a loan for 1%? Do not listen to misconceptions. Do not listen to people, as I say, who know nothing about nothing, talk you out of this money. A lot of people don't think that the government should give out money to people. So some people are discouraging it because they don't feel like people should be getting money from the government. You don't know what that person's angle is. Make the judgment call for yourself. Do not allow someone to tell you different. Also, some banks are creating their own overlays of the program. We do have some retail banks that say that if you do not have employees, they will not take your application. That is not the rule across the board for everybody. That entity can choose only to deal with people that actually have employees. That does not mean that you can't go anywhere else and qualify. You can go to places that will qualify you as a sole proprietor. Some places are not taking certain industries. So we're having to use a magnitude of lenders who will take people from, some places won't take people that do tattoos. Some places won't take people that do private money loans. So depending on your NASA's code, some places are not taking them. That's another reason why you want to consult with Bossed Up Academy, because we have a list of places where we have to send people based on their industry, especially if their industry is considered to not be favorable to some of these lenders. So just because one lender tells you no does not mean that every lender is going to tell you no. This does not have a credit check. No credit check whatsoever. It's not based on your credit. Do not let anybody tell you that it's based on your credit. It is not based on your credit. It is solely based on your documentation. It has nothing to do with your credit. Do not let people tell you that it has to do with your credit. It does not. So if you need assistance, please do DM me. If you have additional questions, and I'll give you a free quote. I don't have a problem. It only takes me a few minutes to tell you approximately how much you're going to get. But I cannot stress to you that it's worth looking into. And you have until the end of March to apply. And then the program is going to be gone. We don't know if it's going to come back. But as of right now, there are plenty of funds. Drop any questions that you have. I do have another question that I'm going to take now. My husband is a truck driver and he is contracted with a company and receives a 1099. So should they have sent him a Schedule C, or is this a form he fills out himself? He will get the Schedule C. He takes the 1099 that he was issued from his company, and he will take that 1099 to his tax preparer. The tax preparer will then file the Schedule C, and you'll get the Schedule C as a part of your tax return. So you can either send us your full return so that we can look at it, or you can ask your tax preparer which page is Schedule C. But at the top of the page, it's repeat about the second or third page of the return, and it's going to say Schedule C, or you'll see profit and loss at the top. So the 1099 is taken to the tax preparer. The tax preparer is the one who prepares the Schedule C. So the Schedule C will come from your tax preparer, and the Schedule C will often, in this case, if he's being paid by a 1099, it's going to come under his name, his Social Security number. So he does not need a tax ID, a business name, none of that. He's going to use that, and whatever he has on the Schedule C, then we'll look at the line 31 to figure out his monthly income after his deductions. And that's where they will give him whatever he qualifies for. So again, if you have a 1099 from a company that you work for, if you cut grass and you got a lawn care contract and they send you a 1099 at the end of the year, you can apply for a PPP loan. Well, how much you qualify is based on that Schedule C that you'll get from your tax preparer. If you prepare your own taxes, then you should be familiar with this document once you have prepared your own tax return. As I said, you must have a positive number on line 31. If not, then that means your business wasn't making money, so therefore you didn't lose any money. So that's how the government looks at it if you are reporting negative numbers. Okay, and Raina is offering can help you with getting the Schedule C. And remember, taxes are not due until April. So your Schedule C that you get can be a draft Schedule C. It does not have to be actually filed, but I would make sure that the draft that you send now is as accurate as your final draft will be once you do file. But right now, you are not obligated to file because taxes are not due right now. So you can get a draft, or you can do it based off of your 2019. You can get round 2. Any other questions before I hop off of here? If there are no minute, I'm going to stay on here about a minute or so to see if there are any other questions. If not, we'll log off. And remember, send me your Schedule C. This will come from your tax preparer, and we'll tell you what you're eligible for. And this is free money. I cannot stress this enough.